Wayne Hudson, and thank you for joining us here at Complete in Christ as we continue looking at some passages in Acts and talking about living beyond the norm or moving beyond the norm, allowing God to do what only God can do in and through our lives, and not settling just for knowing Jesus and going to church some, but allowing God to do His thing in and through our lives. And last time we talked about that there should be some things that are apparent in our life. If God is at work, it ought to be obvious in my life. If I'm trusting Him with my life, if I'm really letting Jesus be Jesus in me, it should be very obvious or very apparent. And we talked about how that the first thing I shared with you from Acts chapter 4 was that we looked at the life of Peter and John, that, man, it was apparent that they believed salvation only came through Jesus. And that should be apparent in my life. For today, I'm going to go back to Acts chapter 4, and I want to read you verse 13. This is going to be our focus today. Listen to what this says. Now, as they observed, talking about the religious crowd, as they observed the confidence of Peter and John, they understood they were uneducated and untrained men, and they were amazed because they recognized them as having been with Jesus. You see, in this life of living beyond the norm, it will be apparent that I have been in the presence of Jesus. See, it was apparent to this religious crowd that Peter and John had been with Jesus. See, if we're in the presence of Jesus and we're living life in the presence of Jesus, empowered by His Spirit, it will become apparent to other people. We'll have what I call the Jesus glow. Now, I want you to think about this passage. It says, as they observed Peter and John, they watched them. And the word there, observed, does not mean they just took a casual look. Man, they observed their life. They watched their life. They knew who they were. They knew what they were doing. Can I tell you that somebody's watching you? Somebody is observing you, and they're watching the details of your life just like they watched the details of Peter and John's life. You see, and as a follower of Jesus, it should be apparent as they watch the details of my life that God is in control of my life, that I'm walking with Jesus, that I have been with Jesus. You know, you may know some people that are observing you, but other people are observing you that you don't even have a clue that they are. It may be a brother or a sister. It may be a friend. It may be a coworker. But I can assure you that someone is watching you. And this is what they're doing. This is a scary thing. They're watching you as a believer to see if what you say and the way that you live are the same thing. And they're going to determine what they do with Jesus based on what they see in me and what they see in you. We are being observed. People are watching us to see if what we say we believe and the way that we live are the exact same thing. They watched the details of Peter and John's life. It says as they observed them, they began to recognize they had confidence. They had boldness. Their confidence was not within themselves. It's the power of God within them. They were very bold. They were very frank. They were to the point. They look, it's Jesus. It's Jesus. It's Jesus. But there's some things that mentioned here that they knew about them. They knew that they were uneducated and untrained men. Uneducated. It comes from a word that means without letter, L-E-T-T-E-R. In our culture, we would say that they didn't have a diploma. They were not educated men. They were uneducated men. They had not been trained educationally. They had not spent a lot of time sitting in a classroom. And I'm not saying education is not important, but what I would say is this: it's not the most important thing. Now, I've spent about 20 or 21 years of my life in the classroom being taught. I spent 18 years of my life teaching other people. You know, I believe that education is important, but I understand education is not the most important thing. Being in the presence of Jesus, is the most important thing. They knew they were uneducated, but they could not deny the fact that they'd been in the presence of Jesus. It says that they were untrained. The King James Version uses the word ignorant. I know what ignorant means. Look, these guys were not skilled. They were not skilled men. They had not had instruction. I'm convinced they had not read the book, Sharing Jesus Without Fear. All they knew is they had met Jesus. He had radically changed their life, and they had to tell it. They were uneducated. They were untrained. They were not skilled men. But They had been in the presence of Jesus. And it said that they marveled, that they were astounded. They were amazed at what they saw, that they knew these guys. They had watched these guys. But it says it was apparent that they had been in the presence of Jesus. What about me? What about you? Is it apparent to other people that we've been in the presence of Jesus? Do we have that Jesus glow? Is there something about us? Is there something about our countenance? Is there something about our behavior? Is there something about us that before we ever say a word, people know that there's something different? You see, God saved me for heaven, yes, but God also saved me to radically change my life. And as I do this life, I need to do it in the presence of Jesus. And if we spend time in His presence, in His Word, we spend time in His presence through prayer, it becomes apparent. It becomes apparent that we belong to Jesus. It becomes apparent that we've been with Jesus. I pray that in your life and in my life, that other people will see Jesus in and through us. And it's not going to happen if we don't spend time in His presence. Just like Peter and John. Just like Peter and John, may people be amazed at what they see God doing in and through your life. Regardless of our skill level, regardless of our education level, may it be apparent that we've been in the presence of Jesus. Go walk with Jesus today. Spend time in His presence. May it be apparent that He's working in your life, and may you let Jesus be Jesus in you today. Have a blessed day. Thank you so much for watching Complete in Christ as we strive to teach you about the Christ life. We encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and may you have a blessed day walking with Jesus.